Project Sentinel, Episode 34, The Arsenal of the Coda. 1. The Recovered Tablet. Inside the small, pressurized lab of the Vigilant, Sergeant Lewis handed a slim, crystalline rectangle to Lieutenant Cho. It was the diagnostic pad he'd recovered from the frozen, plum-colored hand of the Ethel's engineer. He was holding it like a lifeline, Lewis said. Whatever's on there, he didn't want it lost to the dark. Cho slotted the tablet into a custom interface. The ship's computer began the slow, arduous process of data extraction. It wasn't an instant translation. The alien syntax was a labyrinth of geometric logic and resonance-based values. "It's a raw data dump," Cho reported, her eyes tracking the flickering glyphs. Technical logs, power distribution charts, and what looks like a localized ship-to-ship comms registry. We're using the computer to brute force a decoding algorithm, but for now, we're just scratching the surface. It's a start, a way to eventually turn these shapes into words. The lab was quiet except for the soft chime of the interface. The tablet glowed faintly under the lab lights, its crystalline surface catching the red combat glow of the Vigilant's interior. Cho watched the glyphs shift and reform, a slow dance of alien logic that felt almost alive. 2. The Waypoint Grid. At the science station, Dr. Thorne and Bradley were overhauling the navigation array. Using the signal data from the Ethel and the registry from the crystalline plates, they unlocked a hidden layer in the Waypoint network. The waypoints are effectively fixed beacons, Thorne explained to Kray. Each one has a unique resonance signature. We've updated the nav system to treat these IDs as landmarks. We no longer need to leapfrog with step pins to find the next station. The network is broadcasting the path. And the tactical advantage is ours, Bradley added. Because our step pins utilize a slightly different, dirtier hybrid frequency, the waypoints treat them as background static. They can see the Vigilant due to our mass, but they are blind to our pins. We have eyes in the dark they can't detect. The tactical display updated in real time, the golden line now dotted with faint waypoint icons, each pulsing with a unique signature. The grid was no longer a mystery. It was a map, and the Vigilant held the only key. 3. Hardening the needle. Captain Kray walked the narrow 50-meter length of his ship, meeting Zahn in the aft armory. The Vigilant was a military patrol craft, and while its mission had been scientific exploration, its DNA was pure SFDF. "Status of the teeth, Zahn?" Kray asked. "The twin railguns are calibrated and synced with the new obsidian sensors," Zahn replied, checking the capacitor levels. "We've also primed the point defense lasers. If any rogue debris or purge projectiles come our way, the lasers will track and vaporize them before they hit the lattice. We aren't just relying on the hull to take the hits anymore." He led Kray to the midship tactical station. "And we've got the missile bank. 12 high-yield interceptors tipped with resonance disruption warheads. If a waypoint tries to lock onto us with a purge again, we don't have to skip away. We can hit back." Thorne walked into the armory. "Sir," he said to Captain Kray, "I have been looking for you. I have figured out a way to keep our comms secure." "Go ahead," Kray said. "Zahn and I can physically modify the resonance coils, layering them with that matte obsidian composite to act as a directional shield for the beam." Zahn nodded as he was describing the change. "Could work," he said. "The ship no longer broadcasts outwards. It sprays a high-density, low-energy burst towards the stationary pin we left behind. Because the beam is reflected off the ship's own hull, the waypoint pyramid on the surface, which is looking for active, omnidirectional resonance pings, simply misses the traffic entirely." Thorne was now nodding in agreement. "If you both think this will work, "Start working on the modifications," Kray said as he turned and walked back to the bridge. Zahn turned to Thorn. "I will get the weavers spun up. This will only take a few minutes on my end." Thorn was already walking towards the bridge. "I'll get the rest done, no more than 30 minutes. Both went to start the process and change their entire communication protocol. The armory was lit by red standby lights. The railguns hummed softly, their barrels aligned with the obsidian hull. The missile bank stood ready, each tube sealed and cold. The ship felt alive in a different way, not just a vessel, but a weapon with teeth. 4. The warship's breath. Kray stood on the bridge looking at his crew. The 5 veterans and the 4 specialists. They were no longer a skeleton crew on a test flight. They were the crew of a fully realized warship. "We are 24 light hours and 5 minutes from Earth," Kray said, his voice amplified throughout the 50-meter hull. The entire crew was looking at him expectantly. "The next jump is 12 light hours, the equivalent of skipping from Earth to the edge of the Oort cloud in a single breath. We are going to find Ship 1. We are going to find out why it's screaming. And if the network tries to stop us, we remind it why the SFDF built this ship." Everyone started with a small smile on their face. Some were nodding. The obsidian hull seemed to darken, the matte finish absorbing the red combat lighting of the bridge. The Vigilant was no longer just a visitor in the deep water. It was the hunter. The crew stood in silence, the weight of the words settling over them. The bridge lights dimmed slightly, the ship breathing in readiness. 5. Into the 36th hour. "Rosetta handshake is active," Cho announced. "Weapons at standby," Sergeant Lewis reported from his station. "Navlink locked on Waypoint 3, Miller said, his hand hovering over the skip toggle. The tension and excitement on the bridge was palpable. Kray looked over at his crew with a sense of pride. The changes that they have gone through to this point could just be a speck of dust in space. They were the tip of the human spear as we changed our history with the exploration of the relic and the new discoveries. Deep down, he hoped for a peaceful skip, but there was that nagging intuition that comes with command that resonated in the background. "Execute," Kray commanded. The Vigilant didn't just vanish. It tore through the fabric of space with an emerald black roar. The 24-hour mark disappeared. The asteroid wall vanished. The ship plummeted through the silence toward the 36th hour, heading for the head of the snake. The bridge was lit by the red glow of combat stations. The obsidian armor absorbed the vibration of the skip, the ship steady and sure. The stars ahead were sharp and waiting. Somewhere in the dark, Ship 1 continued to scream, and the Vigilant was coming to answer. This concludes today's episode of Project Sentinel. Please join our crew and subscribe for your twice-weekly episodes. We post each Tuesday and Friday at 1800.